Hey everyone, welcome back to my show. I'm your host, Amin Dhillon, and if you're anything like me, you love to binge watch a good Netflix series. And the one that has you all buzzing is Indian Matchmaking. Now, I actually binge watched this show, I think in like 2 days, and it was really interesting. I mean, in a world where you often think everyone is turning to online dating apps, it's interesting to explore the world of matchmaking and really take a look at what dating and marriage is like in the South Asian community. Now, today I'm going to be chatting with one of the castmates that has really, I think, become the breakout star. Her zesty one liners have turned into numerous memes, and judging on the online attention she's been receiving, you either really love her or you don't. But today on the show, you're going to get to know her even better. Today I'm chatting with Aparna from Indian Matchmaking. Hey, what's up? I'm Amin Dhillon, and welcome to my podcast. I'm sitting down with the movers and shakers and the stars to chat about life, love, business, and being a total boss. It's raw, it's candid, it's the stories behind the headlines. This is In Conversation. And I'm not gonna prep you because, girl, you've been doing so many of these. You're like a pro.
I've done like 200 plus. I'm good.
You're like, honestly, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if you decide to just change careers and go into media.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a full-time job, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was actually like surprised, like, because I'm like, you're still practicing, right?
No, I today's Facebook post, I announced that I'm taking the rest of the year off. I can't do it anymore. I like hit a wall.
Oh.
I could not do it anymore. My book deal is about to hopefully get finalized, and then I'll be writing just to get the book done by the summer. I want to. The goal is to get on the shelves by the summer, so I'll have to get it done in the next few months. So we'll see. No one's. I haven't signed anything. No one's bought it yet, so it just got finished the other day and is been sent out to the publishing houses. So hopefully somebody bites because I love the project. I love the book already. Yeah.
Wait, what is the book about? Is it about your experience?
Yeah. It's about the show. It's about me, predominantly about me though. Like a lot of women, thousands of women DM'd me when the show launched and they said, "How did you become this way?" Like we want to know the tips, we want to know the advice, we want to be just as confident and strong. And I said, first of all, that's very sweet of you. Second of all, I've had a lot of stumbling along the way, and a lot of people want to hear about that. Like, what are those life experiences that kind of brought me to this portrayal on the show? And so a lot of the book is about that. It's my 10 rules to living life unapologetically, and it's also going to obviously cover the show. That's a big part of nowadays who I am, and so I don't know if you know much about nonfiction proposals, but I've outlined the whole book and I've written 2 of the chapters, and I already love this project. It's one of my favorites, so I hope we can move forward with it for sure.
I can tell because when you're talking about your face lights up. That's how you know when someone's actually like excited because the
Yeah,
face,
yeah.
like that's why I think your face is amazing because it's very expressive. So we know when you don't actually like something and when you do like something.
No, and I didn't know it was so expressive until I had to watch it on a screen, and I was like, "Oops, I gotta fix that."
I was actually just thinking that I was like, okay, she has been on so many shows. Obviously, you've got a full career. I know you've got a side hustle too that
Mhm.
you've been very open about. So I was actually thinking like, how do you juggle this? So to be quite honest, like it's shocking to me because I didn't see that post today. But I mean, I think it's probably the best choice for you, right? Just to get some sanity, right? Like you can't do everything.
Yeah, it was a very tough decision, and it was a good job, and I don't know if I'll have a spot if I want to go back in a few months. But I had to take that leap of faith because I am depleted. I am fully depleted. I thought after the show things would normalize after a week or two, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Now it's been 3 months. Nothing has slowed down. Nothing is normalized to back what it was before, and that's also okay. Like you also have to be okay with change. But there was just I was just hitting walls. Like I'm not sleeping well, but I'm very exhausted. I'm not able to attend to things. Everything's falling through the cracks. And I think we do have to speak about that, about what it looks like to just be at the end of our rope, and what do we skim off the top, and what decisions do we make to take care of our mental well-being and our mental health. And for me, that looked like leaving my job at this point in time and just taking the rest of the year to breathe a little bit. The show came out in July, so it's gonna be
Wow.
a long run, like July. We're already in the end of October. And I was just like looking at the patterns before and what might be coming up next. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm excited about it. I'm scared about it. I'm nervous. I'm all of the things. And those are also things we have to be okay with.
Okay, so it's interesting how this show has really just opened up a dialogue for people. So let's go back to like when the show finished, when the first episode was coming out. Like, did you have any idea of what was about to happen?
No, I don't. I mean, there's general things that they tell you, like, oh, people will be mean to you on the internet. Oh, people will scrutinize you more. But I don't think anything prepares you. There should be a handbook, and there isn't, called like when your reality show goes global and drops one day. Because I was just and am, I guess, until yeah, a few days ago, just a lawyer in Houston. So I signed up for a docu series, and this turned out to be a reality show. So a docu series, from what I understand, is full of nuanced characters that are going through these complex things, and you're following them on their journey. A reality show is carefully made and crafted to fit these archetypes of people, and it's meant to sensationalize and to get viewers ratings. I did not sign up for that. So that was the biggest shock for me when I viewed the show alongside everyone else. It dropped at midnight in LA, and which means 2 a.m. my time. And my press started the next morning at 9 a.m. with the New Yorker. So I had to stay up at 2 a.m. and watch all these episodes. And I was frankly just in shock. Like for days, I was in shock. I was like, what was that? Who was that person? What was that portrayal? Why did they cut that important part out? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? To this day, I realize I will never know the true answers behind that, but definitely that was the first taste I got of reality TV, and I don't recommend it. You know what I mean? And especially if you don't know what you're signing up for. So the first season of any show is very special. It has all of these really naive people sign up for it, not knowing what they're getting into, and only being there for the premise of the show and the mission of the show. The mission for the show here was to find us awesome partners and to highlight the cultural aspects of South Asian matchmaking. And I was happy to be a part of that. So was everyone else. And what's funny is we have these Zoom cast calls where we like talk to each other, and we all looked around and we're like, we're all still single. And we all only signed up to find someone. And here we are, except for Rupam, who got married off of Bumble, that guy that she met on Bumble on the show. We're all here just like, oh, we didn't think anyone would watch the show. We certainly didn't sign up for any fame. We signed up to find our partners. And yeah, I think that's the season one. That's the season one of Bachelor. That's the season one of any show. And then from then on, you get people who understand what they're signing up for and who are there for everything that comes along with being on a reality show. So you'll never have that, I don't know, that innocence, I guess, again, because now they know. Like someone said, would you be on season two? And I said, knowing what I know, maybe,
Oh,
but at least
really?
I know what I know. Yeah, maybe. I thought it was a cool experience. And I think that there was a lot of important conversations that came up about our culture, about colorism and heightism and sexism and misogyny and all of these things that if we as the culture talked more about, I think we would be able to move through more quickly. And when you don't speak about there's no majority shift. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the majority shift to the fact that these are unacceptable character traits to be, or traits in general to be focusing on in the matchmaking process. And that's not where modern Indians are, be it within India or living abroad. So I think that these are important conversations and we need to have them to really move through them. And so if I could be a part of that, I consider that the biggest gift from the show, that we are doing something for the South Asian community, both in India and abroad.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's one of the blessings. So there's two things. One, I think it's the show really, I think, makes people of this generation appreciate that we have a choice, right? Because when you look at Indian matchmaking, it's a matchmaker, and usually that's an arranged marriage. And I'm sure, you've spoken to many of our parents' generation that used a matchmaker, usually like a pachola or somebody, but they didn't get a choice. It was usually like, this is who we selected. This is like, the updated version where it's like, still has the families involved, but at the end of the day, it is your choice. So I think that is something that we should celebrate, that we are obviously have moved on from that. But at the same time, it did bring up a lot of issues that we talk about in our community, but maybe we don't want non-South Asians to know, right? So I remember when my friends and I were discussing this, we talked about the fact that people will say, oh, I do want someone lighter skinned, or you know what, my parents only want this cast. So it still exists. And it's interesting how people online were so outraged. And I'm like, but you know it does exist in our community, right? Like you can't be surprised. So was that something surprising for you?
I saw a lot of people say, yeah, that's what happens, and we don't like it. Um,
Mm.
I saw a lot of non Indians, non South Asians say, that's interesting. I didn't know you guys cared so much, or I didn't know that, or don't you think that in this day and age that's antiquated? Yeah, sure. I saw those comments, but they're speaking from outside our culture. I
Mhm.
mean, I think a lot of our skin, you know, our skin color issues come from the fact that just 70 years ago we were ruled by the British. I mean,
Mhm.
we were a colony where the beauty was the ruler, and the ruler was fair and blue-eyed and blonde-haired, and we took those notions of power and beauty and wrapped them all up, and we still prefer, in this weird antiquated way, fair skin because of that. That's a deep rooted colonial history that we're trying to overcome as a people. For anyone outside of our South Asian descent to comment on it without that knowledge, I don't think is really even like something I need to listen to. And if the people in our own culture are trying to work through that, I think we should allow that time. I mean, 70 years seems like a lot, but it's also just a blink in history. And this is what we're working with. And I think that we have to be cognizant of that. I know that a lot of people were really, really upset hearing it from that one girl in America at the end of the show. She's like a new character, Richa, that's introduced, and she's the first one in the states, of all of us in the states, who says, I want someone fair skinned, more fair skinned than me, or my color, or dark or lighter, or something she says. And that one statement angered people beyond belief, even though in India, when Seema was in India talking to all those people, that fair, trim, and slim came up a lot, and no one seemed to matter there. So that's also interesting that people are so triggered by where they're hearing it. And we have to unpack why. Like for the US, we have like a strong immigration pattern that started in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of people that came over here left India at that time as, you know, very educated but middle class families trying to get ahead through the engineering and medical fields here in the US. Well, when they left their smaller towns or their, you know, middle class backgrounds, they brought with them their traditions and their understandings of the world, and then they froze them in time. So India progressed and the people in India progressed, but these people who came to America are still holding the values and traditions of 1970s and 80s India. They're teaching that to their children. And then you get Richa, who's 30 years old, probably has a similar story that her parents came in the 70s or 80s, and is saying something that is so outlandish to so many people, especially, you know, after George Floyd and Black Lives Matter is really, catapulted into the forefront of our society. And I still think that they're not understanding where she's coming from and what's happening. Does that change the statement? No, but I think it brings context to it, and I think that's a lot of what's missing in reality television in general, including this show. There's no context. There's no context. It's sound bites, and it's, you know, things meant to incite anger or love in the viewers, and that's not a full depiction of anything.
It's also to make good TV. That's why it's interesting hearing you and the other castmates talk about how the editing was really harsh, right? Like I think for most of the castmates, they're meant to look like there's a reason why they're single, right? And I've seen your interviews, all of you guys, and you guys are nothing like how you're portrayed. So that's unfortunate that it wasn't so much focused on let's do a docu-series like you were mentioning. It really was like a reality show. It was pretty much like our version, I felt like, of The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, to be like what makes for good TV. Oh, let's take you, and let's make you seem like you're really demanding and like no one's good enough. And that's how you were portrayed. And like I've seen you in so many interviews. I know you're not like that. So that's
That's
hard.
interesting too, because an article that came out of India, it was like the most poignant one, I think, but no one, I think it was from a media outlet I've never heard of, but they said the real villain of the show is the editing. No one is as good or as bad as they seem. And I think it's also the flip. Like they made some people so angelic and teddy bears and princesses and victims, and they made the others so terrible. The mama's boy, the overly shallow, the demanding lawyer. And I'm like, we're all people. Like, we're not that good. We're not that bad. We're just people. And that show of people would have been so interesting. Like, I know these people now, their stories are awesome. Their stories are great. Like, they made Rupam seem like some homely, like, divorcee. She's like one of the top pediatric immunologists in Colorado. Like, she's a badass doctor. Like, she probably could run circles around all of us. And they didn't share that at all. Vyasar, they're like, oh, he's just a high
Mhm.
school teacher. No, he is a college counselor with his master's from an Ivy League school, and he's authored 2 books before the age of 30. Like,
Yeah.
why did they cut that out? They cut out my luxury travel business completely. Why? Why would they spend 20, 30, 40 hours filming it and then cut it completely? Because it didn't fit into the narrative of the angry lawyer who hates her job. Well, what about the not so angry lawyer who's not sure she loves her job? And so she started a side hustle that is actually ignited from her passions of travel. And she's working really hard on her, using all her spare time to grow that business. Well, that didn't help their storyline.
Mhm.
But that's the truth of it, right? Whatever helped their archetype is what got put in.
Yeah. And what's great about the show, though, it really has given you a platform because I know you've been very active online, and you've had some great friendships with some of the castmates you were mentioning, that maybe you wouldn't have done. I was actually reading somewhere that you're trying to play matchmaker for some of the guys. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why not? I have always matchmaked. If I went on a first date that wasn't great for me, but was a nice guy, I'd be like, "Oh, you're a runner, vegetarian, or Gujarati. Like, I think you'd match well with my single friend." And I have put people that I met online dating, match them up with my friends because we're all looking. Like, what's
Yeah.
the harm in saying like, "Hey, you're not for me, but you're pretty cool, and I would love to see you be happy with someone else. And in fact, I might know that someone else." I love matchmaking and I love when people matchmake for me. It's a sign of saying I care about you and your future. And so I know I just met you for a date and we met off of Bumble, but I like you and I think you deserve to meet really good women, even if they're not me. And I say that on the show. I really don't mind when men reject me, because I like me. And it's important to me that I'm growing every day and I'm evolving. And as I go to bed, I'm asking myself, was I a good employee? Was I a good daughter? Was I a good dog mom? Was I a good sister? Was I a good friend? Did I learn something today? Did I help myself grow? And if I can say yes, and I'm going to bed saying yes every day, then I like me. And I don't think every man has to like me. And, that's just not important. I'm looking for the one. And everyone was kind of kind of in awe of that. I'm like, but that's the whole point. We're not looking for millions of men to like us. We're looking for one really good guy to be our partner, or if or a woman or whatever. Like, we're looking for a partner. I don't care what gender or what's happening there, but looking for that partner is one person. If we all wanted everyone to like us, then I don't know what we're looking for. But then it goes back to likability, right? Seema's sitting there talking to me, and then in the clip where she's talking away from me about me, she's like, I don't like her talking pattern. And I'm like, oh, you didn't like that I was demure and coy and I didn't bat my eyelashes at you, that I was very direct and saying, like, hey, this is what I want in my match. This is a really important decision for me. I want to try really hard to make you understand what I'm looking for. She didn't like that. And what does that say about the likability of young women? We teach them
Mhm.
by age 10. Are you wearing lip gloss so that your lips look glossy? Are you brushing your hair? Are you shaving or waxing? Are you, are all the boys, the gossip we had as young women. Did you know that 5 guys like her? Like, Jessica's so pretty. 5 men like her, like 5 boys. Like, not Jessica's really cool. A guy that she connects with over video games is, wanting to hang out with her. But Jessica has 5 guys that want her. And then this perpetuates itself as we get older and we're sitting there dressing for our dates. What's the man going to want me to wear? On the date, you're like, am I laughing enough? Am I smiling enough? Am I likable enough? And I'm like, no, none of that anymore. The man is not thinking what you want him to wear. And he's not asking himself if he's laughing enough for you. He's not asking himself whether or not he giggled or whether or not he should really put more mascara on so his eyelashes can bat more at you. And I think that this is a very systemic issue that we're starting very young in a lot of women, and it's being perpetuated by people in the matchmaking industry who are saying that this is your gendered role as a woman, to be likable and to be likable to all the men, because the men are the ones doing the picking. Apparently they're the ones getting the 150 bio data. I got one. Seema told me that was the protocol. That's how she matchmakes for everyone. We all get one person and we don't get to see the next person until we say yes or no to the first person. And I was like arguing with her about it. And that is the way I do matchmaking. And I thought, she's an expert. Like, if that's the way she does it, maybe she's got, some kind of idea about this. And then I watched the show and everybody else gets like anywhere from 3 to 150 options. And I'm like, wait, where were my options? I wouldn't have picked these guys. Like, what's happening? So there's definitely some interesting dynamics going on.
Let me ask you, would you ever use a matchmaker again?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would. I always caution people, find and use a matchmaker that aligns with you and your values. You are not only dating the men that she brings to you, that she or he, the matchmaker, brings to you, you're also dating them in a way. You're forming a relationship with them. It is very intimate, it is very vulnerable. It is one that you have to be very direct and communicate well with that person. So don't just treat it lightly. Don't just close your eyes and pick a matchmaker. Interview people, see who fits with you, see who aligns with you, see whose services are in order with yours, because that's what you need. You need someone who's doing your work for you in a way that you can't imagine doing it yourself. And it is a service-based industry, and they need to be providing that service to you in the way that fits you. So would I use a matchmaker again? Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you might use a matchmaker again. You might appear on season 2. So I like that we might get to still see you on the
There is
show.
a season 2 right now, so they have not confirmed it. That we don't even know if there's ever going to be one. A lot of shows never have a season 2; they just
Maybe
die
you'll get
out.
your own spin-off. Ooh.
Ooh, Netflix! Now we're talking. Can I travel on that spinoff?
Yeah, I say get a big budget. Let's do this. Get you to go wherever you want to do the big fantasy dates, right? Like do it up.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe I just don't do dates and I just do a travel show.
Or that. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to ask you, I know you mentioned before, most of the cast you were saying is single. What's it been like trying to date after the show?
I've not tried personally. I'm very busy. I'm very busy. I mean, I'm at the end of my rope. I barely sleep 3 to 4 hours a night. And that's been going on since July. And the show came out July 16th. The trailer came out the week before. It's been pretty much for 3, 4 months now. And I just don't think I'd be a very good person to date right now. I want to write my book. I want to grow my travel business. I want to figure out my next steps. I am moving to New York. I'm thinking about when I'm moving to New York. It was supposed to be in the next month or two. And now I'm watching everybody in New York leave New York until March or April till the winter passes. And I'm like, wait, do I want to move to a city and sit there all by myself? Well, everyone I know who actually lives there has left. Like the whole city is emptying out. They don't want to be there for the winter. And so now I don't even know where I'm going to live. Like I have a lot on my plate, and I don't think dating is going to be the right answer for me to add on to my plate right now.
Okay. But let's say when you are ready to date, after the whole experience on the show and watching yourself date on TV, is there maybe a different approach or would you change anything when it comes to you dating?
No, I'm good. I mean, my dates were 10 hours long, and a lot of the times when a man came to come on a date with me, I would take him out afterwards just because I think that's hospitality. If they're going to fly all the way to Houston, Texas and sit in a hotel room, when the cameras are done rolling, I should give him a shot because cameras aren't really your real authentic stuff all the time, especially if it's your first time on camera. A lot of these men were on camera for the first time for their first dates with me. Obviously, I was more comfortable on camera because I had seen the same crew over and over again, and many of their visits. And so a lot of my dates went really well, and I really connected with these men, and they respect me. I mean, when the show aired, my biggest cheerleaders were Dilip and Jay and Shaker. I spoke to them every day for quite a bit of time. I still talk to Shaker a lot. We're like really good friends. I mean, I was on the phone with him for 4 hours the other night. And time is valuable to us. So those hours are not just normal 4 hours. They're like everything. Like we're giving up sleep to even chat with each other. But that's what those friendships mean to me. And I would see them literally get on my Instagram page and defend me to the trolls. Or I heard that they were on Twitter, like saying all these nice things about me, trying to like get people to be quiet. And I literally had to tell them, like, don't worry about it. Like, I don't take it personally. I don't even read it. Don't worry. And they're like, no, no, no. We respect you so much and you're our friend and we hate to see you treated like this. It's not even true. Our dates were good. They weren't the one. We're not compatible, but we're good people and you're a good person. And that says a lot about them. It says a lot about me. It says a lot about the way that we treat dating and how mature we are about it. And I would continue that practice. Everyone's like, wouldn't you change everything? And I'm like, why? If I could come out of it with 3 great friends and people who respect each other, then that's the biggest achievement I could say from a date. If you can leave it and still respect that person and then match make for them if it comes to it, then you've had a good date. You didn't find love, but you had a good date. And I had some pretty good dates.
I think that's the fun part about dating. I don't know why people approach it so serious. Like, I always say you should go into it saying, I hope to make a new friend. And if you end up actually being attracted to that person, I'm like, hello, isn't that what you want? Like, someone at the end of the day, the platform is friendship, right? So that's how I see it. I'm glad you use that attitude too.
Yeah, it's a good foundation. And especially for here, we didn't get to meet other people that were taping. So I didn't even know their names until like a few days prior to the show. So we were siloed in the experience a lot, probably for many reasons, but we didn't have the same opportunities as other people in cast to bond with each other. Like you talk to the contestants of The Bachelor, and they're like, "Thank God we all had each other, and we've become such close friends throughout the taping process because when the show launched, we had that infrastructure, we had that family, and we didn't have that. So all I had was the men that I dated." And these men stepped up as better than friends, more like family, and that says a lot about, like I said, a lot about them and me and the way that I treated them.
And what a great story you're going to have now for the rest of your life. You're going to have a great story to share on your future dates and parties and tell your kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I definitely think these 3 guys will be invited to my wedding one day, and hopefully that's soon, but I do have to start dating for it to come soon. So, yeah, catch 22.
I'm very like I feel like we all need closure and we need to see you find the one. We need to
Yeah,
see it. Now,
yeah,
would you consider actually having your wedding on TV?
for sure. Yeah.
So yes, we get to really be part of the journey till the very
Gonna
end.
be in Portugal. So it's gonna be in a vineyard in Portugal. I already looked at the hotel I like. I hope they like it, my groom to be. I mean, we can negotiate. If he doesn't like Portugal, or if he doesn't like the hotel, we can talk about it. But if he's cool with just showing up, yeah. I don't know. My family was in, I think it's called Kashke. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
Kashke? I don't know how to pronounce it. So I'm not even pronouncing the place I'm getting married
That's
right. But
fine.
my family was there on vacation and they met this woman and she's a wedding planner. And she was talking to them and she's like, "Oh, I do mostly Cindy weddings." And they're like, "Tell us more."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Wow, there's even a wedding planner just sitting there waiting for me." So who
I love
knows?
that. The wedding is all planned. We just got to find you the groom. So let me actually be your matchmaker. I thought, you know what? You never know who's watching. That's the best thing. You've actually really opened your pool now of potential suitors. So I know you're
Maybe.
taking a little break right now, which is excellent. But when you're ready to get back out there, let's actually come up with a list. Who are you looking for?
I was very clear. I don't know if it wasn't portrayed on the show, but I remain very clear. It's always been 3 criteria for the past few years, and it remains as 3 criteria. One, be South Asian. Indian matchmaking was a pretty easy bar to set for that one. Two, I would love someone more laid back and introverted and chill. I think that really complements my personality, and that would be a really great place to come home to every day, that kind of person. Three, be very, very intelligent. I would love if you were smarter than me. And I don't mean book smart. I mean like constantly learning about the world around you and then sharing that with me. Like communicating to me, like, "Hey, I read The Economist today and there was this cool macroeconomic theory that we're all going to implode in 2 years." Cool. I'm never going to read The Economist. So if that person can share that with me and explain to me all the things the article said, I learned something new that day. They shared their passion with me. And I think that's a great foundation to a relationship. I was very explicit about that. Sure, there were other factors that were thrown in there for, like, I don't know, TV, but I still want those things in my future guy. And so I hope he's out there. I don't think I'm asking for too much. And I'm pretty sure that when the time's right, he'll show up.
Is that what you believe in, by the way? Like, we're gonna do some girl talk right now. What do you think some people, how they meet each other? Is it literally just timing? Do you think it's like destiny? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think timing has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's not like a job. You can't like just do all the right steps and like progress up the ladder and meet the person at their right age. Otherwise, we'd all be married at whatever age we picked. It's about timing. It's about meeting the right person, about both of you being in the right space. I think you can meet the right person at the wrong time, and then that's never going to work. I think there's so many people that could be quote unquote right for you as long as you commit to them and like do all the hard work, like I said, of sharing your life together and communicating through good times and bad times. And if you make that commitment to put each other first every day, I think that person can turn out to be the right person. There's no the one. There's many people that can fit that bill, and you just have to find one at the right time and both make that commitment to each other and then stick to it and put in the work.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Love at first date, love at first meeting. Yeah. I don't
Has it
know
ever
if side.
happened to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I've had really good dates, or if I've met them in school when I was younger, it was definitely, I knew within like a few minutes. I was like, wow, this person is incredible. Like I could fall in love with them. Like so, I do think that there is like an inherent chemistry that we feel with people and a connection, and that's very plausible that it could occur again and again.
That's what I believe. I believe in that connection. I feel like sometimes, yeah, like you can say, I want this, 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 but at the end of the day, it's that unexplainable feeling when you meet someone. It's almost like you've known them your whole life
Mhm.
and it's not
There's a
work.
book about that. You know, the guy who wrote The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. Is that?
Oh, I've
Okay.
heard of it, but I haven't read it. I haven't
Oh,
heard of him.
he has a book called Brida. He wrote another book, and it's about soulmates. And he says that exact thing, that what you're doing is you're recognizing a part of your own soul in the other person, and that's what we call that inexplicable connection with them, that we recognize a part of ourselves and our soul in them. And he even lays out in this novel that the girl, the protagonist, she actually sees it in two different men. And that's very interesting. She chooses one as her husband, but she has it with two different people. And I think that happens for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I know you already talked about what traits he would have. What would he physically look like? Do you have a type?
No, doesn't matter.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've never been particularly attracted to very good looking men. So he doesn't have to be very good looking, doesn't have to be very funny, obviously. I've already said that before. Just more laid back, more chill as a person. I think that's what I find attractive, like that intelligent, laid back kind of person. And it's not anything physical about them, it's who they are and how they fit into who I am. I think that's very important, that we complement each other.
Aparna, you're making this very easy. I'm like,
Yeah.
feel like people are gonna watch this and be like, okay, I know so many guys that could be great for her based on what you're saying.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think there's that many out there. Otherwise, I would have found them by now.
Well, I always believe that you need to put things on the universe. So I'm like really excited that hopefully people are watching your other interviews or this interview,
Yeah.
and that hopefully someone's like, hey, I have a brother or somebody would be perfect. Have you actually had that? People DMing you and like trying to be like, my brother would be perfect for you or my son would be perfect for you?
Right. Yeah, a few actually. And it's always very surprising because I'm like, you took that portrayal on the show. You don't even know me. But I guess as more press comes out, I get more of that too, because people are like, oh, I like, or they followed me on Instagram now for 3 months and they're like, oh, you're like actually really cool. And I'm like, well, thank you. I'm the same person I was last year, or 6 months ago. It's just you hadn't seen my portrayal on the show. So I am very flattered every time someone does that. I don't get to all of my DMs, to be honest. So I wonder if someone's hiding in there, but I'm okay for now, just moving along, trying to get more sleep, relishing in this moment of not being a lawyer for the next month or two. Yeah, hopefully my book deal does get picked up and I'm writing again very soon. Hopefully we get a vaccine and my travel business is going very soon. So I have a lot to look forward to. I have a lot of stuff that I'm excited about, and that's a lot for me right now.
Yeah, I think the show came out at a perfect time because with the pandemic, everyone being stuck at home, we all needed something to really like binge watch and then really have a discussion. And I think for you guys, the cast, all of you guys have been affected too. You personally with your businesses have been affected. So what a great time to be busy having these other doors open for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I have a cool couple of things that might work out too. I don't want to tease them too much, but I am also very excited about them. So I'm using this period to like find other things I'm passionate about and to enjoy opportunities that are coming my way. And I think that's kind of the golden moment of this show for me. Like it's been 3 months, and I still have a lot of things I want to accomplish and do.
Aparna, has there been a surprising maybe celebrity or famous person that has either DM'd you or maybe like reached out to you to say they've watched the show and that they are a fan now?
Not that I can think of. I mean, I just did a cameo for a Cal Penn show on
I
Hulu.
saw
It's
that.
episode 4. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
I do cameos on that app Cameo, and it's really funny who asked me to do stuff. So I did a cameo for the guy who created that show for Cal, and that's how the whole relationship with us got started. So it wasn't with Cal Penn; it was with the young man who created the show, and he's just so cool. And then someone made me do a cameo for like Mindy's Never Have I Ever writing crew, like on season 2, and I was like, oh, how cool! They're like the writing team at Never Have I Ever just loves you, Aparna. And I was like, do they? Like, that's awesome because they're very talented. I mean, that show, season 1, was so cool and
Mm-hmm.
so amazing. And the fact that the writers on that show are a fan of mine is very sweet. But I know a lot of Indians in India have expressed that, like, different celebrities have watched the show and they have their favorites and all that stuff, but no one's reached out to me personally. I just know that a lot of people have seen the show. I think they recently just announced that 1 out of 4 Netflix subscribers in India has seen the show, so that's a 25% view rate, which is huge for Netflix because there's so much content on there. You don't think that 25% of an entire population of a billion people are going to watch it, but it's the subscribers. I don't know what their subscriber number is. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and
That's a
I
lot of
think I would
people.
love to see you on Mindy Kaling's show. Fingers crossed. I know you've nothing to announce yet, but why not do like a little appearance? Why not just play yourself?
I could. Davy and I would be a trip. The character that Davy on the show, I mean, she's a real person in life, but that would be so much fun. She's the whole show is just really cool too because it tackles that likability issue that I'm so passionate about now. I love that scene where Davy is putting on lip gloss and a blonde girl comes up to her and says something about like it's getting stuck in your mustache, and she's like, at least I can grow one. There's so many young South Asian women that were so self-conscious about not having that blonde beauty growing up and that they had facial hair and like they weren't like, peach fuzz beauty. And I think that's cool that Davy turned around and immediately quipped up with, forget you, at least I have a mustache, where the rest of us would have cried or like mulled about it for years and like, hid in a corner about it. And this girl was just like, no, I don't need to be likable and I don't need to look like your kind of beauty. So I think there's so many important things happening right now with South Asian representation in the media, both in scripted shows like this with characters like Davy, and then in Family Karma and Indian Matchmaking. And I want to see more of that. I know a lot more is coming, and I'm excited for that too, because I want to see more of us, and I want it to be a bigger story about South Asians. That's not just these like archetypes and tropes. We're bigger than that. We have a cooler story than that.
I know, but I think you totally nailed it, because I think also why the show has so many people excited is representation. Like, we never really get shows, like we get scripted shows, but to get a sort of, I'm going to call it a reality show,
Yeah.
to get a reality show that has pretty much all South Asians and,
Mhm.
be able to even identify with some of the people that have, like the, parents or the culture or whatever. It's just nice to be able to like see ourselves on a big screen. So I think that's really great. I mean, regardless of what people think about the actual show and the issues and how it was portrayed, again, thank you to someone for bringing our faces out there for people to say, like, I actually can relate to them. So I think
Yeah.
that's really great.
I do too. I do too. Smriti Mundra, who came up with this idea, she did a Suitable Girl, which is
Yeah.
the documentary that won all the awards and stuff like that. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant to take it to this pop culture stage, this international stage, and say like, hey, look, these 7 kids, not really kids, but people in their 30s are looking for love. Like, follow them. Like, watch this journey unfold and see all of its highlights and its lowlights. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, I want to end the show with some dating advice. So,
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna make you my little dating expert now. So, if someone's watching this, maybe and they're single and struggling to meet someone, what do you think is the best dating advice that you've received that you would give to your girlfriends?
I would say the best dating advice is to stop focusing on the rut that you're in with dating and start saying yes to opportunities that are outside of the dating world. And be it for me, like I never thought I would write a book, but when someone came at me and said, like, I'm a literary agent, I think you've got a story to tell, I said yes. I never thought I'd be on a TV show. When I saw the application on Facebook and I applied, I said yes. There's all these opportunities where if I hadn't said yes, if I hadn't been open, my world would be so much smaller today. And what you're trying to do when you're dating and you're single is make your world bigger so that you can introduce new opportunities and new people. And so if you think outside of the box and just start saying yes to different opportunities, anything that gets you out of the house or gets you into a new career or gets you into a new project, I think you will find your perfect match through that avenue by opening yourself up mentally and then also putting yourself out there physically, like literally putting yourself out there. It's my best advice to everyone. Just keep saying yes to opportunities.
I like that. That's actually should be applied to everything in life, right? You just never know what that door is going to open.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can fail at a few things too. I'm happy to say, like, hey, maybe my travel business will never take off. I've loved it with a passion for a year and a half, and maybe it will fold one day, if this doesn't get resolved or if people don't like the idea, and that's okay. I'll start a new business or I'll figure something else out. Like, you have to be okay with the thing not working out. Maybe Indian Matchmaking didn't find me my partner. That's okay. I'll still find one. You have to also have that attitude. You can't be so like gripped by fear, because I think a lot of dating too is a lot of people don't want to get out there and date because they're gripped by fear of how bad the experience will be or how they'll get hurt or how they'll be embarrassed or any of those things. And like, if that controls you, then you have no chance anyway. So don't let it control you.
Yeah, and be open. I think also that's a great thing too is I think we always think what we want, but I think sometimes, like I was talking to you before, sometimes you have an unexpected connection with somebody that was unlikely. So if some guy that doesn't really maybe like fit your criteria, just go for one coffee. You just never know, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's 55 minutes. That's what I say. A 55-minute wine bar. That's all you need. And you'll be able to tell. You really will. If you have that connection and if you want to continue it, like, then that's saying it's a good date. If you say, hey, you're not a right fit for me, maybe you're good for my friend, or if you're, hey, you're not a nice person, I'm out of here. Like, it can go any of those ways, plus every permutation in between, and it doesn't matter. At least you went out, at least you tried it. And nowadays, at least you did a Zoom date, right? You didn't even have to get ready. You could still be in your sweats.
There you go. Okay, so keep us posted on the pursuit for love, and obviously we want to know what you're doing career-wise. So hopefully we'll see the book out next year. That'd be
Hopefully.
great.
Yes.
Yes.
You need
And
some
then,
publishing house to say, I love it, I want it.
you know
But
what?
yeah.
I honestly feel like someone is going to pick it up because it's hot right now. It's obviously opened up a big dialogue. So I think someone is going to want to get it. So I'm rooting for you. But what about what else should we look out for? Anything else you want people, your fans, to stay tuned for?
People are signing up in droves for the My Golden Balloon wait list, and I love that. They're excited about what's to come. I think everybody does want to travel when this is over, and so what we actually give them is a curated travel where I'm the tour leader, so you get to travel with me. How cool. Yeah, and one of our first locations will of course be Bolivia, because who doesn't want to go to the salt flats now? I think millions of people are lined up. But it's a fun company. I want to see that grow. People can find me on there. We have an Instagram page. They can sign up for the wait list. And then I have another idea in the works, so maybe that will be announced in about a month or so, maybe sooner. We'll see.
Oh, I love that. All right,
I
thank
love
you so much for chatting with me, and it's been really great.
Great. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed my interview. For more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel.